know there's more in you, but you cannot see it. There's a remedy, and I've got the strategy. It's time to turn the dreams into a reality. Push, and I'ma help you. Got the time to. And I'ma help you. 'Cause it's time to.
Hi, welcome everyone for season 4 of Push Talk Podcast. Woo! 4. And this is the first episode, so I'm super excited today. I'm excited for my guest who is here with us, who I'm going to introduce in just a second here, but I want to say welcome to all our first-time watchers, our first-time listeners. Just so ecstatic. My name is Ose Sesay. Look, I'm so excited I can't even say my own name, y'all. My name is Ose Sesay, and I am the producer, creator, host, everything, you know, at Small Business Jamie, right? We do it all for Push Talk Podcast, and I'm just here to help push you towards your purpose in business, career, and beyond. This podcast is about providing motivational messages and just the real deal when it comes to entrepreneurship, your career, business. It's a journey. It's not a race, but it's really about helping people know that there's purpose in those things. And we want you to be successful. We want you to make it and achieve your purpose. So we're here to give you all the tools to be successful. But today, episode number 60 something, I know. I'm just so excited because I couldn't believe 60 something. And for our kickoff for season 4, I have the amazing Jamie Miller. We are here today talking about the pivot from small business back to 9 to 5. Scary for most people, something that we don't want to face, but today Jamie Miller, our guest, will share all about it as she has just recently made that pivot from small business owner, running 3 successful companies, the 518 Group, a branding and event marketing company, Project First, a nonprofit that serves youth in the community of Pageland, South Carolina, where she is from. And lastly, Dear Sisters CLT, an annual Millennium Lunch that connects women in the community through service and action. Jamie has been a huge player and described as one of the most powerful women in entrepreneurship in her area and beyond, right? And even having her own day, the Jamie Miller Day, in her hometown of Pageland, South Carolina, for all the work she does to empower youth in her community. But with all the success, Jamie is still at a point where she felt it was necessary to pivot back to the 9 to 5 world. So let's hear more from Jamie and why she made that choice and how it's going to help you if you're at that crossroads. Jamie, I'm just so excited to have you today. I know we read through your bio and you guys heard this girl's just doing amazing things. I look up to her. We went to JCSU together and Johnson C. Smith University. And since I've known Jamie, even beyond all you guys heard in the bio, like she's just been such a humble individual. She was always so hungry. She was a hustler, and that's why I loved her, and that's why we connected, because she was just always about not only doing things that she loved, but doing things with purpose and helping to carry and bring people into theirs, whether it was in her marketing classes and just networking and getting the internship to people that I'm like, Jamie, CIAA, how'd you get that internship? She just knew how to hustle and network. And that's what I loved about her, because I knew that's key for entrepreneurship and successful entrepreneurs. And I know that's why she's so successful. So Jamie, welcome to Push Talk Podcast.
Oh, thank you so much. Such a humble intro for you to even have me here. I am completely grateful, thankful, and blessed for you to even think of inviting me to your podcast. So thank you for sharing your time with me this Sunday.
Oh, Jamie, I was like, oh, I hope I can catch her, y'all. She's just so big time, you know. She was the first person I thought of, because the topic that we're talking about today, you guys, is one that many people go through, especially as small business owners. And it's hard to face sometimes. And it's only because we're in our heads.
Yeah.
And Jamie's really going to help us share her story. As you've heard, she's done so many great things. And most recently, she's pivoted back into the work world from her business, not stopping her business, but saying, hey, I want to gain some new strategies and, just a new way to go about building my brand and helping to build another opportunity for this company she's at. And I want to just have her share her journey, because I know a lot of small business owners, sometimes we have to say, let's go back into that 9 to 5. Let's, get ourselves to the next level there, and then be able to apply it, or however it looks like. We just can't be afraid. And I've heard people feel like if I do that, I failed, or, whatever that case is. So I really want to have Jamie talk to you guys today about that. So we all know that on this journey, you take pit stops, you get off exits, you get back on, but it's going to get you to purpose as long as you stay focused and dedicated. Yeah. So Jamie, can you share a little bit about us? First, let's start off with, your background. You're from Pageland, South Carolina. Tell us a little bit
the
about
watermelon.
Pageland. Okay, it's a small town, but this girl, was a big person in a small town. And she brought Pageland where she went. So share with us a little bit about your background, and then just how the 518 group came about. Tell us about it. We want to hear straight from you.
Okay, so yes, from a very, very small town in South Carolina, Pageland. We're probably under maybe about 3,500 as far as population is concerned. It may be a little bit more, because people are starting to move here now. So we're getting on the map.
You get there.
We're getting on the map. But yeah, I grew up where everyone knows your name. We have family that's, down the street, around the corner from you. So thinking of Johnson C. Smith, I said, well, it's not too far from home. It's about an hour drive. So I'm not too far, but yeah, I still am not in my parents' backyard, right? So, excuse me, maybe I should have had some water on
no problem
for myself. But thinking of Smith's and going, I knew I wanted to go to an HBCU. I knew because I wanted that experience, right? To be like with my family home away from home. So getting into Smith was such a proud moment for me, just because I'm a first generation college graduate in my family. So being able to experience that and say, this is the start of like the generational, curse breaking journey. And being a marketing major, going into school, I just had this conversation with my friends in the group chat earlier this week. Like, I couldn't believe that my guidance counselor, referenced me being an administrative assistant versus trying to actually help me figure out what major would be great, for me. So it was like, I chose my own path because that support was not there, but my parents were extremely supportive and saying, no matter what they say, we're going to get you where you want to go. So getting into Smith, majoring in marketing, I knew along the way that being from a small place, you got to stick out, right? So what are the ways in which you're going to stick out? That means being personable, making sure that you're introducing yourself to people. That was me networking without me understanding quite what networking meant. So introducing myself to people, taking names, memorizing, showing up, being present, all those things helped along my journey. And it was definitely tactics that I used throughout my 10 years in entrepreneurship, because people are going to remember exactly how you make them feel. They may not remember your name, or they may not remember where they met you, but they'll definitely remember how they make you feel. So always leading with a smile, making sure that I show up and do the things that I say I'm going to do, the consistency, and then just always trying to go a little bit above and beyond, because the bare minimum sometimes it's not enough, right? You have to kind of push yourself a little further throughout the journey. So really from Pageland going into Smith, and then deciding entrepreneurship is how I started 518.
Well, let me ask a question too, Jamie, if you don't mind. How did you know marketing was it? Like, what made you even consider marketing?
That's a great question that I always think about myself. Is sitting in the guidance office, I'm scrolling and I'm thinking, okay, under business administration, these are the concentration areas, right, that we can choose. I've always had this knack for if we had entrepreneurship at Smith, I probably would have chose that first.
Mm-hmm.
But I always had the knack to see what makes people gravitate to purchase certain things. Why are we so loyal to certain brands, right?
Mm-hmm.
That was a part of my thought process into choosing marketing. And again, I had never, heard anybody talk about marketing. I didn't know any people in marketing. I just said, let me just choose marketing and see what that looks like. So it was really just a random, choice of mine. Again, my counselor suggested administrative assistant. I said, no, I'll choose marketing. It could have been management. It could have been accounting. It could have been finance. But I chose marketing because I felt like, because I'm a people person, I want to stay with the people and see their reaction to, the brands and hopefully the work that I would do down the road.
Oh, powerful. And it's such your personality. So it's like, bye-bye, guidance counselor. Where you at now? I know they looking like
yeah, definitely.
Like, I'm telling you, especially they got a Jamie Miller Day in your town. I know they're feeling really salty right about now.
Yeah. I had to let them know.
Yes.
It's not average. I need my own day.
I'm telling you, right? And actions sometimes to speak louder than words. You just did what you had to do, and look at you proved somebody that could have been the hindrance to what we're seeing your success today. So that's amazing.
Yeah.
And now, so you went through college, you met all of us, we became buddy old pals, all of us. 07 was the class of Johnson C. Smith. Okay. It's just so beautiful to see how successful everybody's doing. Yeah. And then after college, and actually I think during college you started 518 Group, right? I felt like you were doing so much in it, or did you actually make it official once you graduate? And then tell us kind of that journey through the 518 Group.
Sure. So I actually, once I graduated, because believe it or not, I had no internships in college.
Really?
Like I worked. Yeah. So I had no internships in school. I actually worked because of school. And I'll share a little bit about this on a personal level. Like my father was sick with cancer in school. So I didn't have the option to not work. Like I had to have some type of income. So my father passed away in 2004 while I was in school. And I loved to work. I loved where I work. I worked at Express, in a local mall. So for that, I said, I gotta have extra money through school. That'll help. And I worked all 4 years of school. I started at JCPenney and then I went to Express. But once I graduated, I did corporate America for maybe 2 years. I started out with an insurance company, like straight out of school. And then I transitioned to working for a shoe store, again, always in retail. That was another way that helped a lot with my personality, being personable and meeting people, the customer service part to the entrepreneurship that we'll talk about later. And then I got an opportunity to leave from my retail job to go relocate actually and work for a beverage industry company. And that was 2 years there. And then once I was there for 2 years, I said, you know what? I feel like I've hit a glass ceiling here for the way that they view me, their perspective of how successful they may feel like I will be. Wow. So at this point, I said, here's when I jump off the porch and take the leap and bet on myself. So I started 518 in 2012. So this is actually the 10th year of entrepreneur. Well, when I started 10 years ago is when I started.
Wow. Yeah. What you have pivoted, Jamie, and to see this business still going 10 years strong. And you've worked with so many great people. I mean, goodness, your clients are in fashion and beauty and music and wellness and sports entertainment. Like, how was that experience? And how did you take, I know you worked a lot of places before. How did that support what you became and what you were able to do? And tell me, like, just the biggest success you've seen through your 518 Group so thus far in this 10-year. Congrats.
So this 10-year journey is definitely not for the weak. And when I say weak, I'm not just, from a perspective of, oh my God, you can't have it, but it's the mentality. You have to have such a strong mental, to be able to maneuver and navigate. There's going to be so many rough days, just like they're going to be great days to celebrate. We don't talk about balance, but we talk about how to manage, right? Because what's balance? Balance is subjective to whatever that looks like for that person, but being able to manage. And for me, again, I didn't have any previous experience with entrepreneurship. entrepreneurs in my family, it looks different than it does in this era that we're in. So even having that family support, I always talk about it, is that my mom didn't quite really understand, but she was just there to support whatever you're doing. I don't quite understand, but I'm still going to support you. And that was important because it was, this is my journey. You have your journey. So let me get out and do, what I need to do. So a lot of it really was just, me saying I'm going to take this leap of faith, getting into entrepreneurship and learning along the way. I didn't know basically anything, right? I just said, 518 group. And by the way, I decided to name it that because 518 is my birthday, the numbers of my birthday. So May 5th, 18, is my birthday. And I said, we are all birthed with a purpose. So here's going to be the start of me branding what my purpose is. And that would be my birthday. So I love that. Even when I didn't think I was being strategic about those numbers or, naming or calling my company that, later on, I figured out that was a part of me brand building, which is something that I didn't even understand. But as I started to move forward, that's how people started to recognize me.
Wow, I love that. Oh, so good. It's always been in you. Like from the start of those days, probably even in high school, you were probably one of those people who knew how to get around network
marketing.
CDs.
I sold $5 CDs in school and created playlists for my friends and was like, I'll buy the CD and burn it. You just give me $5 and, here's your party CD for the weekend.
I remember that used to be the thing. And I tell people on this entrepreneur, it's like something that's like, nowadays, it's become like this thing. I'm an entrepreneur. Back then, it used to be like people would look at you crazy, like, what? Like your entrepreneur was a negative thing. And you said something about taking a step of faith. And that's, I can amen to that more because it really is about that. Because I always share, like, some days you don't have a check coming through and you're like, I got to go out there and get my next client.
Yeah. Some days, some weeks, some months,
I'm telling you, it's not for the weak at heart. And just the fact that you've been able to do this for 10 years speaks so highly of just the work ethic you have. And I'm just amazed. And I know the 518 group has just grown and expanded and you've done so much, but I know in the journey of that 10 years, you've also created this opportunity to give back and I've seen you do so much just through social media, giving back through Project First Inc. And I want to share a little bit about that, and then we'll pivot as we've been pivoting here in your journey of pivoting to now where you're at and what you're doing and what that transition was like. But share a little bit about Project First, because it's just an amazing way that, again, you're just always so humble and about helping people and helping people get to their purpose and who they're called to be and supporting them. So can you share a little bit about Project First, your nonprofit?
Yeah. So I get emotional now thinking about this part of my journey because this is the part where it's God led, right? And I get chills just thinking about it. So I used to go to sleep and wake up with this thought of giving back to my community, but I didn't know what that looked like. And people always mention about your purpose, right? You're all on this earth to serve a divine purpose, but it's up to us to figure out what that purpose is, as long as we're being disciplined, right? And for me, I would go to sleep and wake up with this thought of giving back, serving your community. But I ran from it because I was so scared of what is this message? I don't understand. How am I going to give back? Who am I? I'm literally just a kid from this community. How am I going to give back? Right. So, I give honor to an older lady in my community. Her name is Dorothy Arnold, and she is a lot of the reason why some of the things that I've accomplished is been in her honor, because she was just such a powerful pillar in my community. She's the reason why I even heard of Johnson C. Smith, because she was also an HBCU graduate. She graduated from Claflin University, that used to be Claflin College. Because I play basketball, she took me and my team to a Johnson C. Smith basketball game. So getting that experience was something that forever stuck with me, that impact, right? And being a older lady in my community and my church, she talked to me about service and what service work looked like. And she was always serving because she was a former educator.
Wow.
So getting into starting Project First, my very first service project was a back to school event. I, had my friends purchase school supplies, and I literally got together, took money out of my pocket to, get hamburgers, hot dogs, school supplies. I just wanted to feed the kids, give
Wow.
them free school supplies, and wish them well on their journey back to school in 2012. That's literally how Project First started. So when
Wow.
I think about first, it's an acronym for future, inspire, respect, self-esteem, and teach. I
I
felt like
love
those
that.
were
Love it.
principles that I could utilize, throughout my organization. And then I came up with kind of like a mission statement, which was impact today, empower forever, which means
Love
that
that.
all it takes is for you to impact one person today. And that will
Yeah.
empower them to continue impacting people, later down the road. So it was like impact today, empower forever, because you
I love
never
it.
again forget how people make you feel. That
Uh,
impact means so much along the way on the journey.
wow,
So yeah,
Jamie.
that's how I
Oh,
started Project First.
so good, so good. And I've seen you've done so much to just
Hmm.
help those in your community get exposure. And I think
Yeah.
we all can say that without that person who was willing to give back, and I know that's part of why you went into the sorority, you went into Delta
Hmm.
Sigma Theta,
Yes.
because you really have a heart for service and
Hmm.
making sure to not just be the one making it, but making sure others come behind you and make it. And that's
Yeah, leading by example. Hmm.
yes,
For sure.
powerful, powerful. It's nothing like sowing those seeds back into others too. So I'm
Hmm.
all for it and I love it. And now, I mean, it's just so much. You start on this journey.
I
You
know.
became a marketing, exec and doing all this work, and then you started your own business, and then you took and found a way to make sure your business give back. Because I always tell people, social entrepreneurship. If your business doesn't have like a making a social impact, then it's
Hmm.
not anything I really want to hear about because
Right.
there's so much to help and do. And you
Hmm.
found that way. And then you get to this point like in your journey and you've done so much more because I'm even leaving out you created this way to even empower women in Charlotte. It
Yeah,
was
dear sister, Charlotte,
yes,
dear sister CLT is another, platform that I created just because I love to speak life to us. That was another thing that I kind of adapted along the way was speaking life, meaning that I'm going to be here to support you. And it was my personal open letter to women to say, how can I support you? How can I be of service to you? Right. And, dear sister Charlotte, I did about four, I want to say, empowerment, empowerment, events became another popular thing. But
yes,
I want to say it was really just my way to personally connect with the women who supported me, who lifted me, who kept me encouraged. Give those that have a or wanted a platform or needed a platform at the time to connect to more people, whether it was within our community or just wanting to connect in general. So this the community of Dear Sister is completely something I hold dear to my heart. I'm not done yet. I feel like God is telling
yes,
me to do a few more things with them, but again, sometimes you have to take a rest, right?
yes,
You
yep,
are allowed to rest. I want to make this
yes,
clear to anyone who is listening or who is
yep,
watching this. You are allowed to rest,
yeah,
reset, and
yeah,
refresh,
yeah,
okay? Because we are not machines. You
yes,
know, we are not, robots to where we're just doing and not resetting.
yes,
When you reset, there's inspiration that comes behind that. There is rest that comes
yeah,
behind that. There is a chance to renew that comes
yeah,
behind that. So again, when you're on and you're in this space or this world of looking at social media, because
yeah,
social media is so infectious and
yeah,
impactful, and it's one of those things where we feel like fear of missing out, that we
mhm,
always got to produce content or we always have to be in the know or be on the scene or be visible, but
yeah,
it's okay to rest.
yeah,
So for me, I felt like this is now my resting season for dear sister Charlotte, so that I can possibly or potentially bring my sisters back together to say, okay, what has happened in life? What's the life update for year 5? Because I've
yeah,
done it for 4 years, and
wow,
the last year I did it was the year that Kobe passed away. It was actually the day that Kobe passed away. Kobe Bryant passed away in the middle of, you know, our event. My host, who is also my soror, my big sister Jessica, she's on a very popular radio station in Charlotte, and she announced it, and it was like the room had went silent, quiet, right? And then in that moment, also one of my speakers on the platform, who was also a soror of mine, she had even mentioned Kobe in a like an example of something like you weren't with me shooting in the gym. That I think it was something to that effect, right? And then we just talk about the work that we put in and people who want to take from us, but not, you know, trying to take credit for things that we do. And in that moment, after that was over, and then the pandemic happened, you know, COVID happened, people were sick, and so much was going on. I said, well, this would be the resting season because one, I don't want to possibly expose us if anyone else is sick or may not feel comfortable with it. You know, I thought of bringing it back in 2021, and I'm like, it's too soon, right? Because there were so many things happening. And then this year, I felt like I wanted to bring it back, but then I'm like, I'm in my own, you know, personal pivot, and I don't think I'm ready for it, you know? So who's to say it may not come up in 2023 or 2024, but that personal pivot, I had to sit and rest, you know, myself in order to be able to bring forth the ideas or the vision that God has given me. So yeah, my dear sister Charlotte community is, I'm forever indebted to them because they lift me like no other. And I've connected other women, you know, throughout that platform and that community. So I'm extremely grateful for them rocking with me.
I love it. It's nothing like having just a powerful network of women supporting each other. And I'm sure it's women of color and just all women. We just it's so good to have that space. And I can't wait till it comes back so I can come and partake and enjoy.
Yes, please do. We have a great time. And if any of you guys are on social, Dear Sister CLT. So you can look at some of the past events that we've been involved in, the past brunches that we have. It's for millennial women. So I will say that, you know, it is niched where it's millennial women, but it's, you know, creatives and professionals and entrepreneurs. So it's not just one specific, you know, fancy you know, lane or anything. Like, it's for all women, but again, you know, that is the age demographic is for millennial women.
Well, also
that's what we are, you know?
Yeah, we need something too, you know, and I would say part of that pivot that you took was also for your personal life, because having a business and doing all that you've done, sometimes you need time for Jamie and what's to come, which we talked about earlier. Wink, wink. So you think you pivoting for one thing, but God said something else is coming.
Absolutely good.
Some other things. So, you know, you don't want to lose yourself and other, you know, desires. You know, even myself, I was telling you before we started the interview, like, it's sometimes we forget, like, having this business is like one major desire, but there's others, and sometimes it means you have to put something on the shelf or rest on this thing and then pick up the other, but they will all come together eventually. So the point is, you know, if it's part of your purpose, it's going to come back up, and I can't wait to see Dear Sisters again and see you on that journey, and I look forward to being part of it.